So let's start our first tutorial about the sliding mesh. Okay, so we are working with the icodynamic form. Okay, and we are working right now with the FE4, that means extended version 4. Let's first look at our readme file. Okay, and first create the environment. Okay, so we are working the extended version 4.0, so FE4 is our alias and we are set with this. Now first clean the test case. Okay, first we understand the test case. Okay, first we clean and create the meshing file. First we create the file, so block mesh, first construct the mesh. Okay, let's go for paraform and try to check how the mesh is look like. Okay, yeah, because we don't yet set the boundary conditions. Okay, that's why it's failing. So let me quickly first set the boundary conditions. Okay, so I already have a boundary file. Later on we explore what exactly it has. Okay, but to see the paraform we require that file. Okay, so let's see. So this is the mesh file. Let's see. Okay, the mesh is look like something this way. Okay, and if we see here, so just switch off, we have a inside slider. Okay, so this is the inside slider and another is the outside slider. It try to segregate both the rotating and stationary part. So this is the impeller wall. Okay, and this is the baffles outside. Okay, so this is the different zones. So this zone is rotating. Okay, in the previous case we used the similar test case, but at that point of time we didn't take into account exactly the mesh motion. Okay, we just mimic the same thing by adding the corollary and centrifugal forces inside the Navier-Stokes equation, but this time we try to rotate exactly and take into account the grid motion inside the open form. So this is our computational domain where this portion is the impeller is rotating and outer part is the stationary. Okay, so this is how our domain is look like. Okay, so let's now again look at the block mesh. Okay, so and then go to the constant area polymesh and check the boundary file. So boundary file has a different entry, but we require the grid GGI setting. So let's open the set boundary file. Okay, so how it look like, just check. Okay, so here we have this inside slider and for outside slider we have a GGI. Okay, setting. So let's explore this. So we have a GGI, same mesh file we are using, so no need to change anything, but try to understand what is the difference here. Okay, so we have a GGI, then for inside slider its shadow patch is the outside slider and the zone is inside zone. So normally we are constructing the zone. Okay, for taking into account the this GGI interface. Okay, and same way for outside slider also we have a this setting. So let's quickly adapt this all the changes here. Okay, so you can, when you are changing the mesh file, a number of node and everything, you have to modify this view entry. Okay, so please make sure you are changing appropriately. Okay, here also for outside slider shadow patch is the inside slider and attached zone with the outside slider is the outside zone. Okay, and we have a front and back empty, impeller wall and the baffles wall. So that's it. So this is the how one can set the boundary file. Okay, so now boundary file is set. Okay, we know that we have multiple zones, so we are using this one command. Okay, with the help of that we can segregate the two zones. So now we have a zone 0 and 1. Okay, so if you want to look at how exactly the zone look like, so quickly check, set the paraform and activate the sets. We see that we have a, this is first zone is rotating zone okay, and the second zone is stationary zone. Okay, so we have two separate zone, and that zone after that command is written inside the constant polymesh set area. So this is that two zone. Okay, so we wrote the two zone, and now we use the bash file to construct the this inside zone and outside zone as a face zone. Okay, that it is required. So let's look at the this file. So face set, and our input is inside slider, and patch to face, whatever the with this page whatever the faces is attached, we try to write as a new zone as a inside zone. Same way for outside slider, outside zone, and whatever inside the cell zone 0, we have to transfer it as a moving cells. Okay, as a moving cells, we are giving the name as a moving cells, whatever is available inside this. So let's try to run this particular command. Okay, so when we run this command, what we're going to get here, we have added all this zone. Okay, now this two zone is not important, so let's delete both the zones with this command. Okay, so then we have a, now we go for our set zone no flip flap. Okay, so it, what it going to do, it going to write all the three zones. So this two zone is belong to the face zone, so it's going to write inside the face zone. Okay, and once moving cell zone is about the cell zone, it's going to write inside the cell zone. If you want to see exactly where it is written here, face zone. Inside the face zone, it has a outside zone, okay, as well as it is an inside zone, it is there. And as far as cell zone is concerned, it is from this side. We have moving cells, so whatever the cells belong to the rotor area, it is total 288, it going to move, okay, with respect to the specified movement. Okay, so that is what we set here. Okay, now before we go for running, let's explore a few settings. So we supposed to have a dynamic FV mesh file, so just look at what we have. So inside the dynamic mesh file, we are using the FV mesh motion as a mixture GGI FV mesh. As I told you, it will allow us to take into account the sliding mesh motion. And when we are using this mixture GGI model, we have to define this coordinate system. Okay, cylindrical coordinate system. So origin is 0 0, axis this one, and the direction is in the x direction. Okay, so this is what we define. We have to define the RPM. Okay, so rotational speed, revolution per minute. So we specify this. Then the moving patch is this inside slider, and static patch is the outside slider. So this allow the this FV dynamic mesh to understand what portion is moving and what portion is stationary. So this is how one can look at the mixture GGI FV patch. Okay, so then we also have to set the boundary condition properly. So let's look at this portion. So as far as the boundary condition is concerned, we have a couple of boundary condition options available. Okay, so as far when we talk about these options, we have a few of the options. So we have a moving wall velocity, that is one option. So this take into account only the normal component when the mesh motion is mesh is moving. Then another option is rotating wall velocity. So let's first quickly check where this option is available. Okay, so you have idea, then we come back again and try to explore the things. So that is, if you want to look at all different options as far as the boundary condition is concerned, so go to the SRC folder, finite volume. Okay, and from there we have a field. Inside the field we have FV patch field. Okay, and inside the patch FV patch field we have derived type of the things, and here we have a couple of options like moving wall, that right now we are using. Where is moving? Okay, moving wall velocity, this is what at present we are using. So this is moving wall velocity available. Okay, so this will take into account the normal component of velocity, okay, on any of the patch. Okay, so that is normal component it will take into account. So this is one thing. Okay, moving wall. So update, and inside the update try to take into account the only the normal component. Okay, dot nf. Okay, so add just the normal surface motion fluxes. So this is what I'm going to do. inside this. Then along with that we have another boundary condition. Normally we take into account rotating wall velocity, another class of the boundary condition. Sometime we try to use it is a rotating wall velocity. Okay, so this rotating wall velocity, it try to take into account only the tangential component, okay, with respect to the axis. Okay, so it take into account the tangential component, and we have to specify the axis and omega and the origin. So few things we have to take in while we are specifying these few things we have to specified. Okay, and this is what it's the needed. Okay, and they try to take into account the tangential component. Okay, so up minus of the normal. Okay, so it take into account the so remove the component of up normal to the wall. Okay, just take into account the only the tangential component of the any of the velocity. Okay, then we have a, if we want to take into account both the things tangential and normal, then another option available is called moving rotating. Okay, so moving rotating wall velocity. Okay, so this is another options we have. So moving rotating wall velocity, for that we have a center point axis and RPM with which the any of the patch is rotating, and it take into account combine normal as well as tangential component both. Okay, so this is what we needed. If you want to retain the tangential normal component both, then you go with this particular option, moving rotating wall velocity. If you want to retain only the normal component, go with the moving wall velocity. If you want to retain only tangential component, go with the rotating wall velocity. Okay, so this is the few of the options available. So this is how it is coded inside of the OpenFOAM. Okay, so and then sometime we want to take into account the velocity based on the flow rate. So we have flow rate inlet velocity, one nice condition available. Okay, so flow rate inlet velocity. Okay, so this is also sometime people use, and we specify the flow rate and the just dummy value. Okay, volumetric flow rate meter cube per second or kg per second. Okay, so we specify the flow rate and this only the dummy value. So normal velocity from the flow rate it can calculate. Sometime we let's say for scalar surface normal fixed value. Okay, so this class of condition if we require for some of the scalar, then go with this another class of the condition. It's called the surface normal fixed value. Okay, so surface normal fixed value sometime we use for certain calculations. So normally we use these values for the scalars. Okay, when we want to take into account the scalars at any of the rotating patches. So we have a couple of options like moving wall velocity, rotating wall velocity, then moving rotating wall velocity, flow rate inlet, surface normal. Okay, so couple of these options available, and some couple of user defined or some specific for some specific application also. So many people wrote their own boundary conditions, so that is also available. Okay, so when we try to look at few of the tutorial, we try to explore that condition as well, but this is the most generalized way one can look at the different conditions. Okay, so this is what we supposed to specify here. Okay, so whatever the impeller wall, when we say moving wall velocity, so what's going to happen, only normal component on that particular patch they try to retain. Okay, and the tangential component goes to 0. Okay, so this is how one can see the boundary condition for moving walls. So because moving walls boundary condition is always little bit different as compared to the stationary walls. Okay, so this is how one can set or look at the boundary conditions here. Okay, so let me again come back to our readme file. So we are set with the different zones. So let's also explore again how everything look like here. So internal field, different sets. Okay, so we have a moving cell, so that is what we define here. So this is the moving cell. Okay, and we have a inside cell zone. Okay, and we have a outside cell zone. This is cell sets. Okay, so this what we constructed. Then we have a impeller wall internal, it possesses entire mesh. Okay, so now our mesh and setup is ready to go. Now let's also look at our all these files. Okay, so we control dict, we're going to use the ICO dynamic form. Okay, and this is the GGI check. So it is very important, it give us the idea what is exactly happening at the interface. Okay, and it try to report the fluxes error, how much is pass and how much is what is the mapping in between the both the page. We can look at that. This is all different schemes. Okay, and the FE solutions. Okay, so for FE solution we are using with the piezo algo, so we put some outer corrector equal to 4. So when we are working with the rotating type of the domain, okay, so sometime we have to tune this parameter. If the mesh is non-orthogonal, we have to also increase the non-orthogonal correction as well if we are not getting the convergence. Okay, so we have to tune this parameter if we are facing the convergence issue, otherwise it's perfectly all right. Okay, so let's run very quickly. This is very simple test case, so we have an idea what exactly happening. So it's almost done because it is very coarse mesh. Okay, now look at the few things. Okay, so this is flow field after development and how it rotating. Just check, it's rotating something like this way. Okay, so it's rotating at a 60 RPM. Okay, so 60 revolution per minute it's rotating the system. Okay, now let's close and try to look at cut plane view, so we have a few idea how exactly and what is happening. Okay, so this is how vector plate plots look like. Okay, so slowly it try to establish the movement. Okay, so this is the exact cell movement if you look at. Okay, because of the our nice GGI interface, entire movement we try to take into account like this way, and we take into account only the normal velocity. Okay, so it shows us we take into account only the near the our all the blades. Okay, so that is how we are rotating in anti-clockwise direction. Okay, so this is how it's look like. Okay, this is very simple way of looking the mesh motion as a mixture FV options. Okay, so this is what we look at here. Okay, now let's explore a few more tutorials in the similar line.